Hey everyone, ready for another deep dive? We had a listener write in asking about AI readiness, and luckily we've got just the thing.
Oh,
Yeah, there's this article called AI Demand is Soaring. Is Your Team Ready to Scale?
hmm.
It's by 𝗕𝗏, published on, I think it was their website
Yeah,
actually.
yeah, I think I saw that one.
Anyway, the title's really got us thinking, so we thought we'd break it down for y'all.
Good idea.
And honestly, some of this stuff is pretty wild. Even Amazon, can you believe it, is struggling to meet the demand for AI infrastructure.
Yeah, AI is exploding right now. It's not just hype anymore. It's having a real impact.
Totally. And get this, the founder of OpenAI, Sam Altman, he's got this vision for a massive AI program in Europe.
Yeah, I read about that. It's pretty ambitious.
Ambitious is an understatement. He actually compared it to something out of Stargate. So before we get into the nitty-gritty,
Right.
I want to ask, where do you see AI making a difference in your own work or life?
It's a good question. One we should all be asking ourselves. Now, in this article, 𝗕𝗏 outlines 5 key takeaways for getting ready for this AI-driven future.
Okay, hit me with them.
Well, the first one is about infrastructure. You got to scale your infrastructure. Basically, making sure your tech can handle all these new AI tools. Because get this, he actually says cloud providers are being overwhelmed.
Whoa, really? Overwhelmed?
Yeah, so imagine like you're trying to run this complex AI model, but everyone else is too, right? So the cloud provider servers get overloaded.
Makes sense.
Everything just grinds to a halt. Projects are delayed. It's just a huge bottleneck. No one wants that.
So what can you do about it?
Well, you got to have a flexible infrastructure. Maybe diversify your cloud resources, use a mix of providers, or even try a hybrid setup.
So not putting all your eggs in one basket, so to speak.
Exactly. You got to make sure you can scale up as your AI needs grow. Okay, takeaway number 2 is plan for big ideas.
Okay, now we're talking. So think big, start small. Is that the idea?
Yeah, pretty much. You don't need to be building the next ChatGPT. Right. You can start with smaller AI applications that can still revolutionize your work.
Right.
Like automating those boring repetitive tasks, or analyzing data to find hidden patterns, even just personalizing customer experiences. It can be small but powerful.
Makes you think about AI in a different way. Not just these huge systems, but a tool to solve those everyday problems.
Definitely. But of course, to do any of that, you need the right people. Which brings us to point number 3, bridge the skills gap. We all know finding people with AI expertise is tough.
No kidding. It feels like everyone's scrambling to hire AI experts.
That's not just coding either. You need people who understand data science, machine learning, even the ethics of using AI. It's a lot. Organizations need to think about continuous learning.
Yeah, so you can't just throw AI tools at a problem and expect magic to happen, right?
Exactly. You need people who know how to use them and use them responsibly. And that takes us to takeaway number 4, which is stay ethical and compliant.
This feels super important, especially with AI moving so fast.
Think about it. What happens if your AI system, makes biased decisions or violates privacy laws? It can be a disaster. You can't just focus on the tech. You got to consider the ethics and the legal side too.
It's almost like AI is adding a whole new layer of complexity to everything. You're not just building software, you're building decision-making systems.
Exactly. And these decisions have real-world consequences. It's something we all need to think about, not just developers.
Makes sense. So what's the last takeaway?
Okay, last one, and it's kind of a challenge. Beat the competition.
Yeah.
𝗕𝗏 is basically saying we need to find those high-impact AI use cases before our competitors do.
It's about getting that strategic edge, right?
Yeah, it's not just about the tech. It's about how you use it to create value. Stand out in the market, stay ahead of the curve.
So you need to understand AI and your specific industry, business, your whole strategy, really.
Exactly. It's about the big picture. And that actually leads into another crucial point 𝗕𝗏 makes. AI isn't just a tech upgrade. It's a complete transformation.
Interesting. So it's not just about plugging in some new software. It's about changing how your whole organization thinks and operates.
Right. It's about adapting to this new landscape.
Okay. But how do teams actually do that? What does this transformation look like in practice?
Well, that's a big question. And it all starts with leadership. They need to build a culture that embraces change, experimentation, prioritize continuous learning.
So it's not about buying the newest AI software. It's about creating an environment where people feel empowered to use it effectively and ethically.
Exactly. But how do you actually do that? What does that kind of culture shift really entail? Well, that's where we'll pick up next time.
Can't wait. Okay, so last time we were talking about how organizations need a real culture shift to really get on board with AI. But how do we actually make that happen?
It's all about building an environment where people aren't afraid of change. For a lot of people, AI is still this big mystery,
Right.
maybe even a little scary.
Definitely.
So leaders need to break that down. Show their teams how AI can actually be helpful. Make it a safe space to try things out, experiment.
So instead of thinking, oh no, the robots are taking our jobs,
Right.
we should be thinking, hey, this could actually make my work better.
Exactly. It's a totally different mindset.
Yeah.
And leaders need to encourage people to play around with AI tools, see how it fits into their work, figure out where it adds value.
It's almost like give people permission to be curious about AI, to try things and, maybe even fail sometimes.
That's key, actually. You have to embrace failure as part of learning. Because let's be real, putting AI into practice, it's messy. It's not always going to be smooth sailing.
I can see that. And that kind of ties into what 𝗕𝗏 was saying about continuous learning, right?
Absolutely. It's more than just learning new skills. It's about creating a culture where people are constantly learning, adapting as these technologies change, always evolving.
But how do organizations actually support that kind of learning? Like, what does that look like in the real world?
Well, there are a bunch of ways. Giving people access to online learning platforms like Coursera, LinkedIn Learning, that's a good start, but you can go further. Organize workshops, bring in guest speakers, maybe even create mentorship programs.
So people who already have experience with AI can help their colleagues. That's a neat idea.
Exactly. It's about sharing that knowledge within the company. It doesn't have to be all formal training either.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just encouraging people to go to conferences, read articles, or even listen to podcasts. Anything to stay up to date,
Right, because AI is changing so fast, it's easy to fall behind.
Exactly. It's about having a multifaceted approach. Cater to different learning styles, keep it ongoing, make it part of the company culture.
Okay, so we've covered scaling infrastructure, planning those big ideas, bridging the skills gap, staying ethical, and beating the competition. 𝗕𝗏 actually gives some concrete next steps in his article.
Oh, yeah.
The first one is upskill now. No surprise there, right? He's saying, don't wait, get started right away.
I totally agree with that. The longer you wait, the harder it's going to be to catch up. Start with those online courses, reach out to people who know AI, attend events. There's a ton of resources out there.
His second recommendation is to audit your AI strategy, which might sound a little intimidating, especially if you're just starting out with AI.
It doesn't have to be scary, though. Just start somewhere. Even if you don't have a fancy AI strategy document, that's fine. Pick a few pilot projects.
What do you mean by that?
Just like small projects where you can try out AI. What are some problems you can maybe solve with AI? Or areas where it could create new opportunities? Pick one and start there.
So don't try to do everything at once. Start with one specific problem and go from there.
Much more manageable, right?
Yeah.
You'll learn a lot from doing those small projects, too. Figure out what works, what doesn't, and then you can use that to make better decisions about AI later on.
So it's about having a strategy, but it also has to be flexible, adaptable, and you got to be willing to change it as you go.
Yeah, the AI world is changing so fast, your strategy needs to keep up. It's all about being iterative, constantly testing, refining as you go.
So we've talked about the challenges of AI, the opportunities, why you need a culture shift, and some practical steps organizations can take. 𝗕𝗏 finishes his article with this really thought-provoking question. He says, the AI revolution waits for no one. Are you ready to lead, or will you get left behind?
It's a great question. It really captures the whole thing. This isn't just a fad, AI is transforming everything, and it's up to all of us as individuals and as organizations to figure out how we want to be a part of it.
Do we want to just watch it happen or be a part of shaping it?
Exactly. And that choice has big consequences for our jobs, our lives, even society as a whole.
It got me thinking. As we were going through 𝗕𝗏's takeaways, I kept thinking about the individual's role in all this. The article focuses a lot on organizations, but what about individual readiness? Like, what can we do to be ready for a world powered by AI?
It's a great point. We often talk about the impact on companies and industries.
Right.
But what about the impact on people? What skills do we need? What mindset do we need to thrive in this new world?
Because 𝗕𝗏 gave us a framework for organizations. But what about a framework for individual readiness? How do we make sure we're not just being swept along by this AI wave, but actually navigating it, using it to our advantage?
Well, that's exactly what we're going to talk about next time. We'll dive into the skills, the mindset, the strategies individuals need to not just survive, but really thrive in an AI-powered world.
Okay, so we've covered how organizations are getting AI ready, but what about us as individuals? How do we personally prepare for this AI-powered future?
Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it? We talk about companies getting ready, but individuals need to develop their own AI skills and mindsets, right?
Right, absolutely. So what are those skills? Is it all about coding and data science, or is there something more?
Well, tech skills are important, for sure, especially if you want to work in AI development.
Right.
But there's a whole other set of skills that I think will be even more important in the long run.
Okay, like what?
Things like, critical thinking,
Mm.
problem solving,
Mm.
creativity, being adaptable, communicating well. Those are the skills that will help people navigate this fast-changing world. Figure out where AI can be useful, and then explain those ideas to others.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's not enough to just build AI or use it. You have to understand its implications and find the right problems to solve with it.
Exactly. And don't forget about emotional intelligence. As AI becomes more a part of our lives, being able to understand and manage our own emotions
Yeah.
and others' emotions will be super important.
That's true. We're going to be interacting with AI systems all the time, so we'll need to communicate clearly with them, understand their limits, and build trust.
Yeah, definitely. And on a larger scale, as a society, we need to figure out the ethical side of AI too. Make sure it's used responsibly and doesn't just make existing problems worse.
So it's not just about individual skills, but also about taking responsibility for how AI is used.
Absolutely. And you know what? All of that ties into what I think is the most important mindset for the AI world. A growth mindset.
What do you mean by that?
A growth mindset means believing that you can always learn and grow, that your abilities aren't fixed. And in a world where everything's constantly changing,
Right.
that mindset is crucial for adapting to new tech, learning new skills, being comfortable with the unknown.
So instead of feeling like AI is a threat, we should see it as a chance to learn and grow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a chance to expand our own abilities. And that learning never really stops. We need to become lifelong learners, always
Yeah.
looking for new knowledge, testing out new tools, and adapting to new ways of working.
It's about constantly evolving, right?
Exactly. And that's something we can all start doing right now. Challenge yourself to learn something new every day, try out new tech, step outside your comfort zone.
I love that. Being proactive, taking control of our own learning.
Yeah, exactly. Because remember, the AI revolution is happening whether we're ready or not, right? So are you ready to start learning and adapting?
𝗬𝗏 certainly hope so, and we do too. He encouraged readers to connect with him and share their thoughts on AI readiness, and we'd love to hear from you as well. What are your biggest takeaways from our deep dive? What steps are you taking to get ready for this AI-powered future?
Yeah, come join the conversation. Share your thoughts on social media or drop us a line on our website.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into AI readiness. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and keep those learning engines running.